Okay, so I have this terrarium and I want to turn it into a tarantula enclosure. And in order to do that, I have to make a new lid because these lids are allegedly bad for tarantulas because they can potentially get their feet stuck in them and they can get injured. So it's no bueno. So I'm going to see if I can make my own custom lid for this terrarium and make it a tarantula friendly space. Let's get into it. So I wanted to do this in the easiest way possible, the most lazy way possible. So I just bought this big sheet of plastic. I got it from Home Depot. It's a 12 by 24 polycarbonate sheet. So I toss the polycarbonate sheet on top of the tank and I use a pen to trace around it so I can get the proper measurements for my cut. And just before I do the cut, I give it a quick wipe down because this thing was collecting so much dust, it was kind of gross. Check it out. And like I said, I wanted to do this in the easiest way possible. And when you're shopping for tarantula enclosures online these days, you're gonna keep seeing people talk about Tarantula Cribs. So I was inspired to make my own kind of ghetto Tarantula Cribs lid enclosure, and I did that by super gluing magnets to a piece of plastic. One thing that I learned while making this video is that polycarbonate and acrylic are two very different things. They are not the same, and you cannot score polycarbonate and just snap it the way you can acrylic. I found out that polycarbonate is a lot more flexible and is used in bulletproofing applications. So needless to say, it was not easy to try and cut through it with a razor blade, and I had to resort to a circular saw. And I should say, oh my goodness, that's a lot of microplastics. I vacuumed it all up, but I did question if this is the easiest way to go about it. What I should have done is I should have done one of those YouTube thumbnails where it's like 1,000-degree knife makes tarantula enclosure. And there it was, a nice beautiful polycarbonate lid cut to size, a little rough on the edges, but hey, it looks good. I'm happy. But there was one issue I started to consider, which is the fact that tarantulas are actually really strong. Look at this massive tarantula just moving a huge plate of glass. And that got me to realize this bendable plastic wasn't really doing the trick. Because if you push one magnet, the fact that the plastic bent easily, it kind of negated all of the other strength of the other magnets holding it down. So I decided I'd take the terrarium lid and flip it upside down. This way I had a much less flexible metal frame going around and lining the polycarbonate. Flipping it upside down allows me to still have that gap between the polycarbonate and the terrarium, which I think provides a sufficient amount of cross ventilation. I am not an experienced tarantula keeper. I have never had a tarantula in my life, and I don't know anything about them really, but I've just been recently doing research, so I'm curious to hear if you have been in the hobby for a while. Is this an adequate amount of airflow? What do you think of my setup? This cost me around 50 bucks, give or take. It was $10 per set of 10 magnets and about $20 to $23 for the sheet of polycarbonate, and the super glue cost me about $6. So overall, give or take, it was about $50 for this DIY tarantula terrarium replacement lid. Please let me know what your thoughts are on it. Do you think that this is enough airflow? Do you think that this is going to be heavy enough to keep a tarantula in? I actually put a golden pothos plant on mine to help weigh it down a little bit more, but let me know. I've never had one, and I really don't want one to get out if I do decide to put one in here. So, yeah, please let me know about that. Click like, click subscribe if you made it this far in the video. And if you want to stay tuned and see if I actually pull the trigger on picking up a tarantula. And that is it. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.